your reaction to an environment or to a situation is separate from your emotions. Like how
Right.
you want to respond to something is separate from the actual incident happening. So that's why you can have one situation happen and you have 10 different reactions. But the fact is the situation is constant. But
Right.
your reaction, your emotion is what you can control.
Right, and that resilient mindset, knowing, okay, I'm here today. Yes, you said, what can I do to level up? Things are not going my way. Okay, and we see that even on their team, that's they play for a very good team, great coach, and all that. Sometimes the game is not going their way, and you start seeing kids folding, crying, weeping, because the team is in Texas. They can taunt you sometimes, but it's like, okay, just brush it off.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Wellness and Winning. Our goal is to help you find ways to be strong in your faith, family, finance, fitness, and friendships. So today we're talking about how to create a healthy environment for your kids, and we're going to share our experience and hopefully it resonates with you, and we're going to talk about our journey.
Go for
So
it.
yeah, we have 6 kids. We knew that we always wanted to have a big family. We didn't know we were going to have 6, but we knew we weren't going to have 1. And obviously, in doing that, there's a certain kind of personality and mindset that we have, being that we know that raising kids is a tremendous responsibility, and we were all about foundation, foundation spiritually, physically, emotionally. And parenting is not easy, obviously. I think I sometimes on TikTok, my feed, I hear people talking about how their parenting or their parents impacted their current situation or their who they are today. And it's almost as if like you have to ask yourself, how much does parenting impact a human being? And just that thought alone, that question, it's scary, because you're saying to yourself, okay, you give birth to this human and you're like, okay, now you're responsible for making sure that you don't do anything to screw them up. And it's like, that's impossible, because you're not perfect. But I do believe that there are some core foundational things that you can hold on to that can really help you kind of be your North Star. It's kind of like your guide. And for us, we said, okay, foundation spiritually. You got to have a strong foundation spiritually. For us, it's Christianity. For other people, it might be other religions, but believing in God is number one. And then believing in yourself, number two. We have a very strong culture in our family where it's about resiliency and not deciding to give up. If you get down, you get back up. And even the concept of winning and losing. I know the world wants to say, hey, we're all winners. We're not all winners. Like, there's some winners and some losers.
That's very interesting, especially for kids, right? There are a lot of sport, especially when your kids in sport.
Yeah.
You could see, oh, everybody gets the
trophy.
trophy and all of that. But if they keep growing up with that mentality, and then when they don't get it, participation trophy, when they don't get it, even when they don't, when the effort is very small, very minimal, they kids end up demanding to be recognized, even when they don't have that effort there. So somewhere we have to find ways to start showing them that, hey, it's not just participation. You need to be able to give your best. And for us, even we started taking them out of those teams that it's all participation. In Jersey, we with everything was everybody, oh, hooray, everybody's a winner. But when we came to Texas, we saw a little bit of that in some teams that they played for. But
Majoritively speaking.
but then we pivoted to different leagues. Even our 6-year-old in the flag football, after the game, the coach would call the best player of the game, best defensive of the game, say, if you want to win next time, step up, So sometimes, we're not too strict on it, but there's clear. Sometimes they try to make sure everybody gets it into the entire season, but that before you get it, they are being encouraged to step up. That this is for winning. This is for not just putting in the effort, but you have to go above and beyond.
Absolutely.
And that really helped our 6-year-old right now. Before, the game was just in the game, he's playing, he's having fun. Yeah, but it's also recess time for him. right? Want to catch up, want to do tag. When people are trying to, score on us, he's doing tag. And that's not, you see that. But when the way the coach, the way they run the team, he's ready. He's about to,
Game
if
mode.
he doesn't he's in the game mode. If he doesn't get a touchdown, he's like, versus like, we win. In between the game, he's like, what's the score? What's the score? They all want to know the score. Are we leading by what point? So again, this is a little example. We got lots of different scenarios that letting kids understand how the modern world works, but bringing it to the kid level,
Yeah.
to that level of accountability. You have to put in the right effort. You have to go above and beyond. You have to be a good team player. I mean, there are different things to reward, but they need to know that you're not rewarded for not doing anything. You have to do something to
You got
get
to
a
do something
reward.
to get a reward. Absolutely. I mean, it's a life lesson, right? It's a life lesson. The challenge becomes how much of the real world do you introduce to your kids at such a young age, Like, I mean, there are things that our kids are, if you want to call them sheltered, if you want to call them, kind of naive, that's okay. But I do believe that children should remain children,
Yep.
and that there's a certain age where you now introduce certain topics and you now talk about certain things because they're going to have their entire life to deal with it. And you don't want to break that innocence because it's that innocence that really keeps them, I think it keeps them not childlike in the sense that they just have to focus on the things that children should focus on. But if
Right.
now you introduce these topics where you're talking about racism, and you're talking about girls being in boys bathrooms and boys being in girls bathrooms and trying to explain all of that, I feel like it just takes away from the magic of childhood. Like they should focus on, okay, how can I be a better brother to my sister? How can I be a better player? How can I be a better student? What creative things do I love? Can I explore and be better at? How do I get better next year at it? Like, I think that's enough of life for a kid, But the fact of the matter is, society wants us to introduce a lot of topics that can harm them mentally. And you have to be very strong in your stance as a parent, not just as a Christian parent, just as a parent, and to say, no, my child doesn't need to learn about this. We have a certain culture that we want to just, maintain. And yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not afraid of it. I welcome anyone who would say, "Hey, you're keeping your child in a bubble." Well, I mean, let them be in a bubble. They're gonna grow up adult, and I think the core things that we need to instill within them are, those values of resiliency, you're not giving up. Also, there's one thing that we do too is taking care of your body. Like even at such a young age now,
Right.
all our kids understand nutrition to a certain extent. They know what's healthy. They know what's not healthy. I'm not saying they eat healthy all the
They
time.
still
They're
love their donuts. I mean, when you give it, we barely, but okay, it's a treat. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that we still, donuts or, candy once in a blue moon, once in a blue moon. But the fact is, like, they understand core things that they need to be healthy adults. So creating that healthy
Right.
environment, it's all around. It's the nutrition, it's the mindset, and I think that's enough for kids to
Like you
focus on.
said, even our daughter, even at 7, when we go to the store and she sees all the snacks, she will actually read the back and say, "Oh, that is that bad? Is that not good?
Even
Not bad?"
Zion, our 4-year-old, she'd
Yeah.
say, "Mommy, can I get that? Oh, wait, no, that's not healthy, right?" I said, "Yeah, that's not healthy."
Right,
So,
helping
yeah.
them. If you say to because what happened is I was listening to a doctor talk about the rise of you know diabetes among kids right now compared to in the 50s. With I don't have the exact
Fatty
stat.
liver disease, I believe.
Yes,
Fat
not just yes, not necessarily the fatty liver disease, which is still on the rise, but just kids that are going through
diabetes.
diabetes, type 1 diabetes. You're like, what's going on? A lot of that is in our diet, what we eat, and
Absolutely.
making your kids understand. you don't have to explain diabetes to your
No,
kids,
yeah, yeah.
but
No,
knowing how to choose, oh, this food is not good because, oh, the sugar level is too high. You see that. Oh,
right.
fructose, corn, some of the key basic things that I understand. High salt, high sodium. For
Mhm.
us, that's one of the things that we use.
Mhm.
So our kids are looking at, oh, high
Anything
sodium.
artificial, colors, dyes. And I also like to do this, babe. I like to tell them why they should do that. Because we speak of diabetes, right? I remember talking, I forget who it was. I think it was Akachi, a 12-year-old. And I remember saying, that's why you should always read the ingredients in your food. Why? Because the pharma industry, I mean, I said the pharma industry wants to, they're not in the business of healing your disease. And your food can either heal you or hurt you. You can literally heal diseases just from changing your food and nutrition. I remember my uncle who cured his diabetes just from changing his food. And so I said, this is why it's important because the pharma industry doesn't really care if you're sick. They want you to be sick. They want to maintain your illness. So you have to be the one to say, to take the responsibility of reading what's in your food so that you don't get sick. I'm not saying food is the only thing that gets you sick. Of course, there's genetic, diseases and things like that that people struggle with. But food is definitely a gateway to your health,
It
and
is.
that's why I tell them if you want to be healthy, you want to play with your kids, you want to be able to, not depend on anyone to walk or to breathe. You have to watch what you eat. So I know it's a dramatic, like, kind of it's a lot for a child to take in because they're like, oh my gosh, if I eat this, am I gonna die? I'm like, no, you're not gonna die, but you're going to impact your health either positively or negatively. So that's kind of like the way I introduce
Right,
that to the
making like
kids.
like you said, small choices. If in order to jump, 10 feet or whatever, you have to jump 1, 2 feet. So kids may need to understand at a small level,
Mm-hmm.
and that on the parent side, what you guys eat in the house. I mean, majority of the time we cook, right? I mean, we cook every day,
Almost every
almost
day.
every day, but even with the kids now, because we've sown that seed over time, that even the restaurant, when we want to go out, I'm not going to name names, but our case, like you said, someone said, I want burger from here. They're, oh, no, not good. I can't eat that burger. And, shout out to Hop Daddy. That's the burger
The
joint we
best.
eat uh, because of the pasture raised eggs, the grass fed beef. Our kids pick things like Hop Daddy over any other things
Because they
because
taste the difference.
there's a
Once you
difference.
taste
Yes.
high quality food, it's very hard to continue eating low quality
And this is
food.
not sponsored by Hop Daddy,
Not
by the
sponsored
way.
at
But I'm
all.
just giving an example. A lot of restaurants, a lot of that are really into the quality of the ingredients they're using.
Hmm.
And if you find those, I think you should really support their business
Yeah.
when you want to eat. But again, but that's some of the little things. Seeing our kids make decision of that. Okay, no, we can't go to that restaurant. That one was especially some of the seafood place. Oh, that was too salty. We're not
Hmm.
going there.
Hmm.
High sodium.
Hmm.
That's an example of them understanding it, and now they are the one championing picking where we should go. I mean, our school even eating lunch in school, our kids don't like eating. They rather eat at
Yeah.
home versus eat lunch, breakfast. And they'll say, "Oh, go eat breakfast in school Friday." Like, no, I want to eat at home.
Yeah.
I don't like their sausage because
Hmm.
again, they're tasting the difference between the food and they're making those choices. So empowering them to understand why, like you said, why these things are important. Your body is the temple of God.
Hmm.
If you're gonna be an athlete, if you're an athlete,
And that's, yeah.
it matters what you eat. It helps you feel
I mean, how
right.
many times do you remember me saying, okay, Kachi, it's time for football, right? Did you eat? Yes. What'd you eat? Oh, I made pancakes. Did you have any protein? No. Go boil some eggs. Go fry some eggs. Like really making sure that they understand like your nutrition is key. It's key.
Right.
Not just because they're athletes. I mean, they're very high performing athletes, but because your body, like you said, is your temple. And if you want to feel good, you got to eat good. And they see that too. Because I remember there was one chicken restaurant you guys went to, and the chicken was so
Yeah.
salty. It was
Yeah.
like
It
covered.
looks so good.
It
I mean,
looked
I saw it
good.
was salty, but I'm like, everybody, let me try it a little
And then
bit.
the next day, I think two of them had headaches. Junichi
Right.
had a headache, and I think you had a headache. But
Yeah.
they see the impact of it, and that's
and they will not go back
they're not
there.
going
They're
back
like, even
again.
even with the food, the pictures like being so yummy looking. They're like, no, no, we're not going back there. We're not
Yeah,
going back there.
yeah,
But yeah, so just moving on. Can you talk about resiliency?
yeah,
That's one of the things that we teach our kids to be
yeah.
resilient. And again, our goal is to force to build an environment where they can have the tools to succeed when they grow up.
Mm.
And you adult out there, you know the world is gonna punch you in the face, smack you, lift you up, hit on the ground.
I think it's
Some
because that's what we did. That's what we endured. That's what we went through. We were not handed anything in life. We had great parents, loving parents, great, safe environment, Christian household. But the fact is, there are a lot of things in life we had to learn on our own, and we learned the hard way. And that's from, not necessarily failing, but, not winning, but deciding not to give up and continue to go on the next day and
right.
do it again.
Yeah, so being able to, yeah, getting up and getting up. I mean, we can talk more on even you having to
Pivot
feel like your
careers
career is
multiple
all like at the
times.
stop. Or we talked about in one of the last episode how our businesses failed 5 times, and this was each of them. We started with our life savings, like we would save up 2 years or 3 years, everything, live very
Meagerly.
meagerly, no vacation, none of that, and then start a business and it fails, and we do it again and again and again. And one thing we'll say to each other, and by the way, I'm the lead guy doing all that, okay? I'm the lead guy stepping out and say, let's do this, and we fail. We will take the lessons and leave these cars, right? One of the things people, you guys do, okay, your spouse, maybe she wanted to start a hair salon, whatever, and because it didn't work out, now the husband's like, next time, you're not gonna do it, and you're trying to beat them down. I mean, think about any good product you see out there today must have been iteration of the bad ones that didn't succeed. So in our part, we learned early not to take or not to beat each other up when things don't work out, knowing that we're in the same team.
Yep.
We're in the same team, the same goal. We had a shared vision. We went it. I was the commander, chief, attacker, and then I got smacked down. Okay, baby, get up. Let's do it again. So take the lessons from each business or life lesson or failure or I wouldn't say or just yeah, you could call it
Take the
failure.
lessons
It's
and
a
not the
circumstance, but
scars.
you're not a failure. So how we use that mindset and our kids know about it and how they and now say, hey, you remember when daddy closed that store in Philadelphia?
Mm-hmm.
They have reasons. They know. They've seen us, shut things down and move on to the next stuff to know that when you go through tough time, it's not time to cry or weep, but it's time to say, what can I do different? And I want to just jump to the example. Our first son, no, baller, football, all of that. And then going into seventh grade, his expectation was that he will be in the right away in the A team, right? And right away in the A team, all the tryouts, everything. Everybody know that seven middle school football is not the best, right? I don't care where. Maybe some few schools, but in general, most parents have
Reaction.
the same reaction. Because you see kids, I mean, we looking at the entire roster, we know ballers that are in the C team, right? And now the good, the average guys are catching the ball, dropping the ball in the A team. What's going on, coaches? You know? So with him, he didn't make the A team. And I kind of want to see his reaction.
I remember his reaction.
Is he going to talk bad about the coach? We don't talk anything negative about the coach at home. He's going to talk bad about the coach or about say, oh, they didn't take me because of X, Y, Z. None of that. He was just,
He was just really disappointed. I
right?
remember the day that it happened. He came home. Normally, he always gives me a kiss and says, "Hey, mom." But after he said, "Hey," he was just like, he just looked down. He just kind of sad. He said, "Yeah, I didn't make the A team." I said, "Oh, you didn't? Oh no." My first reaction as a mother, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, my baby didn't make the A team." And obviously the next reaction is like, "Well, why don't you think you made it?" And he says, "I don't know." I said, but can you get on the A team? He said, yeah, I can get on the A team. I said, well, you gotta get on the A team. He said, yeah, I'm gonna get on the A team. And I remember him saying, I'm gonna get on there. I don't know how, but
I can talk on the house. So
he
I would
okay.
drop him off every morning and we would talk, about school, about the team, what I need to do. So he's like, listen, I'm gonna come to practice. I mean, I know what I'm doing now, but maybe what I'm not showing them enough. They haven't seen enough of me.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna have to give, whatever I think is enough, I have to go exceed that. Whether it's in practice, whether it is whatever, run fast. Even if it's just a little like warm up, he's just like sprinting, right? Sprinting through all of that. Even at the game, he started like, sometimes you only get 2 snaps or 4 snaps. Like when you get those opportunities, your number is called. He knows that he was telling him, hey, I'm gonna go out there and ball out. And boom, right? They had scrimmage, and he had like maybe 4 or 5 snaps, and he just went out there and just balled out. And the coach called him the next day into the office and say, "Hey, I got you going to move you up the A team," and told him why and all of
Okay.
that. Well, it took maybe a week or two for that to happen. But he came back. He's like, "Yeah." Actually, he was more happy that it happened. He's like, "Listen,
Yeah, I
that
think that's one thing that we said. I asked myself, would it have been better if he was automatically given the A team? And then we were talking, he said, it's actually good that he made the B team because it's another life lesson, right? Where you are teaching a kid that you may not get everything you deserve in life. You may not get everything that
you think you
you
deserve,
think
right?
you deserve.
Yes,
But one thing is for sure, if you work hard, if you really apply yourself, that you can really achieve goals that you never thought you could achieve. I'm not saying he never thought he could make the A team, but he really showed them that he's capable of being on the A team. And it's the work ethic that he had to put in, and that's a life lesson.
yeah. He said super excited for him that even going through that, not having to like feel bad. I mean, it felt a little bit bad, but then knowing that, okay, I'm just gonna go work harder.
And this is
That
even
was his
beyond
natural
this is even
response.
beyond sports too. If you have kids in sports, but even your younger kids, like I remember, our son Jadichi at some point when he was younger, he would anytime he would do something, he would get frustrated if he can't do it well, and then he would get so frustrated, like I can't do this. I'm like, no, just breathe. Everything that you're doing, anything that you do, you're not going to be the best at it the first time around. Even Michael Jordan, he didn't make his first shot. He became Michael Jordan. So you just have to become better at what you're doing. But you can't let your emotions get the best of you. You can't let your emotions ride you. I think that's another kind of culture that we instill with them, like control your emotions. I remember saying I say that a lot. Control your emotions, because yeah, there's a woman I follow on TikTok. She's a neuroscientist, I believe, and she mentioned one thing. A lot of neuroscience, there's a lot of principles that you can apply from there in real life. And they said your reaction to an environment or to a situation is separate from your emotions. Like your how
Right.
you want to respond to something is separate from the actual incident happening. So you can have that's why you can have one situation happen and you have 10 different reactions. But the fact is the situation is constant. But
Right.
your reaction, your emotion is what you can control.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Interesting.
and yeah, it's
Right, and that resilient mindset, knowing, okay, I'm here today. Yes, you said, what can I do to level up? Things are not going my way. Okay, and we see that even on their team, that it's they play for a very good team, great coach, and all that. Sometimes the game is not going their way, and you start seeing kids folding, crying, weeping, because the team is in Texas. They can taunt you sometimes, but it's like, okay, just brush it off,
yeah,
and we see that he brush it up, doesn't fit into the tone, doesn't just lays up
laser
focus.
focus.
And I've actually seen high school kids games where, to me, my analysis, like those kids, they may lack in in being resilient, where they fit into outside pressure. Somebody turns to you, you start fighting them right away, right? Or after the game, I've seen different reactions, things that happen. It's like, hey, maybe they're really not grounded in not responding a lot to the outside pressure, controlling your emotion, your environment. When I mean your environment, how you react,
Yeah.
and and not let that bother you. All those traits start very early, even in our culture, being high performance and pushing the line. Almost all your family, everybody has a master's degree. And the high expectation. These are some of the things that you can incorporate. People should incorporate, have high standard for your kids in how they communicate, in how they hold themselves, in how they hold themselves when things are not going right, in how they even their performance in practices, all of that high expectations. And
And we just want to make sure we're not saying for the kids to be perfect, okay? There is no level of
yes.
perfection that we want our kids to get to, but we want them to strive to be the best in what they do,
And
right?
for us, having a lot of kids, now we could see from different personalities, like six different
Yeah.
personalities of, the playful one, the funny guy, the this, the that. But regardless of the personality, one thing is common, right? How can we, that basic foundation of you can be resilient, you can
Consistent.
consistent, you don't give up, don't throw the blame game,
And
right?
believe
That's
in
the
yourself. I think believing in
believe in
yourself is
yourself,
another
believe
big
in
thing.
yourself.
I
Yeah.
remember because I I asked Sinatra after they won the football, they won their Super Bowl flag football, and I remember saying, "So you ready for tackle?" And he said yes. And for some reason, I said, "Are you sure?" Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I just wanted to see if he would say, "Yes, I want to play tackle." And then he kind of said, "I think so." And I said, "No, no, no. If you believe that you are ready for tackle, if Sinachi believes that he can tackle, then he's ready." Then he said, "Okay, I'm ready." And okay, you got to believe in yourself. Like, don't worry about, I'm sure he's thinking of, oh my God, we're going to get hit and but he's used to that. His two older brothers have gone through it and they're great. But like, it's also just making sure that they know that it's about believing in yourself, your ability to do something, not just.
Right. And for us wrapping up, I would say even as a parent, like right, if you are not in the right environment for your kids, it could be maybe the right school district,
Okay. Right state.
right state, right whatever. The easy way out is people blaming the system, blame the government, blame all of that. Now, let me ask you, what if nothing changed on the outside? Meaning the government doesn't change their stuff, they don't allocate more money for the schools. If you cannot control, yes, look, let's protest, let's do something, like people would say, right? But what if nothing changed? You're still responsible
For
for
those
yourself and your
kids.
family. So I'll rather focus my energy on majority of that and what can I do? What can you as a parent do to put your kids, your family in the best environment? And if that means changing jobs, if that means shopping less, right? If that means relocating, so, well, I don't have, listen, the no, I can't do it is the reason why things don't happen. Or rather, I say, how can I do it? Now you start seeing opportunities, especially if you're a Christian, you believe that God will make a way where there is no way. You have to step out there. There was, the iPhone 17 we have today, well, because there was iPhone 1. You're waiting for 17, it might take 4 or 5 years to get there. But you gotta come up with that first clucky one, big, ugly, not best looking design. So what would you do as a parent? Maybe like you say, you need to save up. Maybe you might need to go back to school to earn some degree to maybe change your job, maybe become a nursing assistant, become something. That's encouragement. That should be more. How do we help each other to get better so we can help our families, right? Put your kids in the right direction. For us, again, we say, okay, we may not afford expensive private schools, but we can sure move into a better neighborhood that our tax money goes towards there. And that's what we did. We saved up over a couple of years, was able to afford a better down payment in a neighborhood that even though we can't pay for a private school for 6 kids, we know they're in the right school district and
I mean,
they're
we
being
could pay. We'd
pushed.
just be very broke if we
We don't.
decided to
I
do
mean, we're not
it.
gonna pay. I can't pay unless you have yeah, get the weak money. I'm just kidding. But really, you are responsible. You can do something about it, and you have all it takes. Don't wait for the help. Help is not coming from the outside. There's help on the inside, and as you step out, you will see there's more opportunities than you ever thought of.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
definitely.
It's been a nice to really hanging out with us today to just learn and find ways to, get better in finances, faith, family, and we hope you give us your feedback, your comment, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yep.
Adios.